All right. Welcome to another episode of the Ivy League where we celebrate some of healthcare's finest. Today is no different. We have Mikailia. She's been a travel nurse for 8 years. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay, I'm ready.
Travel nurse. And so for those of you who don't know, can you explain what exactly is travel nurse? We always hear is, what is a travel nurse?
Okay, so a lot of people heard about travel nursing during COVID. We've been around much longer than that. Travel nursing is basically when you work for an agency. You go all throughout the country and you are booked on a contract for whatever hospital that has a need and are short-staffed. You can do regular contracts. I've done disaster relief where I work in hurricanes. I go places after fires. It can be a little dangerous.
Speak on it.
Yes. I worked alongside the military where they had the command and, we have to come in and do the medical part. I worked on Indian reservations. So, yeah, it's a lot.
How do you find these contracts? Like, is there a difference between the agencies?
Yes. So, you have your major agencies like AMN that people have heard of. So once you get into travel nursing, the agencies, once you work for one, they find you some kind of way. I guess your information is put out there. But you basically research the agencies that has the contract that you want at the moment. So I'll go on a line and I'll look and see, who has what, who's paying what I want. And that's where I'm going.
Most important, who's paying what you want?
Yeah. I mean, it has its perks. And of course, money is a major one.
So were you staff before or do you always work travel? You were staff?
You have to be.
You have
to be.
Okay.
I will tell any nurse that's trying to get into travel nursing, you need to have some experience first. And a reputable agency will not take you unless you have experience first. You're getting paid double, sometimes triple the staff salary. So you're coming in to fill a void. You need to know what you're doing. They don't have time to train you.
Got you.
And you need to understand the basics of what you're doing, policies and procedures. Because if something happens, you know that the hospital isn't going to back you up.
Really?
Oh, no, especially as an agency. So you need to come in knowing what you're doing. Yeah.
So going to that point, is it imperative that you have insurance?
Yes.
Speak on that. Like, how much does it normally cost? Is it worth it?
It's worth it. I will tell people if you do have it, just keep that to yourself. It can be anywhere from $20 to $50 up to $100 a month. It's not that much money. But you don't want patients and people knowing that you have malpractice insurance.
I just heard that part too. I just learned that. Can you explain to them why would I not want people to know I have malpractice insurance?
Target now. They know they can sue you. Like, they have malpractice insurance. If she does or he or she does something to me now, I can sue and possibly get more money.
Right. I heard about a case recently about that, right? Where they found out that she has insurance, so now they're going for her. That's wild. Because I know the hospital I work at, they said, we don't recommend that you get malpractice insurance. And, contrary to what I was told, it's like, no, you should always get it. So you're saying not always.
Because as a staff, if you work for a hospital, they probably have their own malpractice insurance that will probably back you up. But even so, it's your medical license that you are protecting.
Right. That you worked hard
for. You worked hard for. At the end of the day, the hospital is a business.
Right.
They're always going to have their best interests at heart.
Right.
So you need to have your best interests at heart.
Okay. Did it take you a while to learn that? Like, I think we have this bubblegum fantasy once we get into healthcare that
take a swig on that one.
Yeah, exactly. So that it's not all about the money. It's about the patients. What have you learned, like maybe the first 2 years you gotten?
Okay. You meaning comparing like money to patient care?
No, comparing to what you thought it was. To what it really is.
Okay. So I hope so, when anyone gets into the medical, especially nursing field, you get into this profession for compassion and you have a strong emphasis and want to help people.
Right.
Once you get into this profession, you see that it's not all about that. You come in wanting to help, but then you're short-staffed. They don't have enough people to help you. You have way too many patients. You don't have enough time to give the adequate care that you need and want to.
Right.
So then the patients, they're upset with you. You're stressed out.
Right.
And then you're like sitting here like, I came into this profession because I want to help you.
Right.
But it's a very thankless profession and nobody sees what we're going through in the background.
Right. There's a lot that goes on in the background.
Yeah, like especially if you're on a med-surg unit. I haven't seen my nurse for an hour or two. They don't realize, especially if it's in a state that doesn't have, the nurse ratio laws.
Gotcha.
You can have 7-8 patients on the floor.
That's wild.
Yes. And think if 3 or 4 of them are total cares. So if you have one tech on a floor, that tech is busy.
So you also essentially become nurse, tech,
waiter, therapist.
Speak on it. All those things.
Yeah, it's everything.
So you said ratios. Mm-hmm. Explain that. Like, have you been in a state that does not have a ratio, and what did that look like for you?
I'm from Florida.
Okay.
That's where I started. Florida doesn't have any ratio laws.
Okay.
So on a medical surge floor, that's where I started. You can have up to 7, 8 patients. I think the most I had is about 8.
Okay.
And that is insane.
That's wild.
If you have someone that is a total care, for you all that don't know total care meaning, bed bound, they're needing to be turned, they need to be changed, need to be fed. You can be stuck in that room.
Right.
Plus you have to change them every couple hours.
Right.
Plus give their meds. Now think of all your other 6, 7 patients that you have to assess them.
Right.
Give their meds.
Right.
Bring everything they need.
Right.
The cowbell is going off. This patient needs you. This one has to be changed.
Wow.
The other one is crashing. They need rapid response. The other one is dinging for the Dilaudid because it's due. So if you don't have a tech there to adequately help you for the, not saying that they're not important, but the smaller things like, oh, I need some Jell-O, or can you bring me another pillow or something like this?
Right.
The patients get upset because they feel like we're abandoning them when it's not the case. It's like, I'm going to get to you, but this patient next to you was trying to die.
Right. So they needed me right now.
They needed me right now. I'm sorry. And
Okay.
we're just short-staffed because remember what I said. Hospital is a business.
It's a business. So you started out on med-surg.
I started out med-surg 1 year.
1 year.
1 year.
Just 1 year?
I was out of there.
All right. So where'd you go?
I went to ICU.
ICU.
Yes.
Okay. Big difference or no? Because ICU, you don't have 7, 8 patients.
You don't have 7, 8 patients. You have 2.
Okay.
If you're at a hospital, that's a little sketch. They'll give you 3. But people that don't work in critical care areas think, oh, you don't have to do a lot because you're, only have 2 patients. I'm like, you have 2 patients for a reason. These people are on drips. They're on a ventilator.
Right.
And some of those drips are keeping them alive. You have your Levo, your Neo. They're on propofol.
You see all these drips going at once.
All at once.
I remember I saw the nurses call. I was so intimidated. Like, oh my God. How do you keep it on track?
You have to be very organized.
Okay.
So we have this little joke. You can tell the difference between an ED nurse
and
an ICU nurse.
What's the difference?
Oh my gosh, because it's chaotic down there. So they'll bring us up a patient and it's all stuff all over the place.
Right.
My first 30 minutes with this patient, I am trying to get all my lines together.
Okay.
Because you have to be precise. If I have propofol, if I have Levo, vasopressin, Neo, all these drips going, I need to be able to keep them in order. You need to be able to see what line has what lines are compatible that can go with each other. And at that point, if a patient is on that many drips, if one goes dry on accident, if you were just busy and don't notice, you will immediately look at the arterial line and see their blood pressure going boop, boop.
Then all hands on deck.
Oh, yeah. So you have to be a little more, responsible, and you have to be a little more organized when you're in ICU.
It's like more detail oriented.
It's more detail oriented, which is why they say a lot, especially ICU nurses are type A. I hear that all the time.
So you type A?
I wouldn't say I'm type A. I'm not that bad.
You already said it. You type A. Okay.
No, I'm just...
It's nothing wrong with it.
ICU nurses have like this connotation about them that they're a lot. And I'm like, I don't think it's a lot. I think it's because you have to have that critical care, sense. You have to be able to look and be like, okay, this patient is about to tank. Okay, I have these drips going. Mm-hmm. I need to do this. You're not task oriented like you are on a med-surg unit. You literally have to understand when you're looking at your numbers and the medications that you have going. So I think that's why.
So med-surg, ICU to...
PACU.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that where you are now?
I'm in PACU now.
Okay. So why the switch?
I did the switch because when you're an agency nurse, I was actually in the ICU and I was floated to PACU because they were short. So they needed someone that had the critical care experience because you still have ventilated patients. Some of them can come out, on drips and stuff still, and you have to be used to that.
Right.
So I got in there. I was like, okay. I like this.
Okay.
So I switched over to PACU, and then that's how I got into the perioperative realm. Where now I do moderate sedation. Okay. I do pre-op. I'm fire at the IVs, by the way.
Okay.
But what's that? I can get you.
I'm easy though. Right I'm an easy stick.
So yeah.
Okay, so we're in PACU. So going back to the travel nursing, because now you travel nursing at PACU,
right?
going back to when you first started to now, what are like 3 things you would tell a travel nurse that you wish you knew then that you know now?
Okay. Know your finances and know your contracts.
Why?
Because especially if you take a 1099 contract, you need to make sure you have a great tax person or a CPA. At the end of the year, you will owe some money. Don't spend all of that money. Read your contracts. What
are some things that, nurses may miss in that contract?
You need to see if you're going to have guaranteed hours. So if they cancel you, will you get paid for that week? You need to, any time off that you want, time off request, you need to have that in your contract because the manager's not going to want to give you that. You're coming in to help. So you need to understand that. And you need to understand that you're coming in as a traveler. Everyone isn't going to be the nicest to you.
And so that definitely leads me into the next question as far as, are travel nurses treated differently on the units?
Yes.
And, and how are they treated differently? What's your experience been?
I've had some places that I've been to and they're grateful. Because people have to understand we're coming in to fill a void. Meaning, you want to take vacations, people are sick, somebody's out on maternity leave. I'm coming in to help fill that void for you so you can do what you need to do. Or so you all aren't struggling with being short-staffed.
You a helping hand.
I'm helping. So some places understand that. And then you have some places, they just think, oh, she make all the money. Give her the worst patients. Oh, I'm not going to help you. You make the money. I've literally been told, you make more than me. Shouldn't you know that? Figure it out. I've been told, figure it out.
Wow. Those kind of people, in my opinion, don't belong in healthcare because you're not, obviously being a nurse, there's an advantage of getting paid well if you know what to do. But at the core of it, you want to help people.
Exactly.
Right. And so they should want to help people too. I don't care how much you're making. If you're taking this off my plate, please go ahead and do it. Right.
Thank you.
Exactly. So, so mostly you say bad experiences as far as treatment, mostly, or just, to be honest, negative.
It's not bad, but sometimes you can feel the tension. You're treated differently. Places, yeah.
So how do you handle that?
I just go in. I have a really nice and bubbly personality, so I think if you are just constantly trying to be mean to me, it's going to make you look bad because I come in, hi. I'm coming in to help you. Do you need anything? I come in and bring donuts. I'm that nurse that's bringing the donuts and the muffins. I do that. So it's like, I'm a team player. If you are constantly being a bully, that's on you. It's going to make you look bad.
Yeah, they're going to feel something at the end of the day like, all right, she's actually here to help me.
So after a while, sometimes they'll ease up, but sometimes it doesn't. And you just have to know when you go into these assignments sometimes.
Have that thick skin. You have
to have tough skin being a travel nurse.
Got you. So you alluded to, the money that travel nurses can make. I'm not saying what you make, but what's the range that somebody may be able to make travel
I'll give a ballpark. So people have to understand COVID. That was a
not
time.
Not COVID.
Yeah, because people, they think COVID money. COVID was a time that our world from our lifetime, we've never seen before. We were getting paid that amount of money because we were literally being martyrs, people. Okay. We were walking into an assignment where you could die. Okay.
Right.
So they were paying the $10,000 a week because you could die. It was literally 50 cents. Get rich or die trying.
Yeah. And I'm guessing you chose to get rich.
Oh, I was there.
So you was out there. Okay.
I was already a travel nurse anyway. So I'm out there.
Take advantage of it. Why not?
I was in New York in the beginning of in the trenches.
Yeah.
And I was afraid. Okay. So I want to tell people to not look at that rate because that was in normal times.
Right.
But I can say for a travel nurse, you can get anywhere for 150 to up to 180,000 a year, depending on, especially if you're in California.
Okay.
You do strikes.
Right.
That's another thing. That's one.
That's a whole different.
Oh yeah, that's another ball game. Strikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's somebody say? All right. What's maybe like kind of the weekly rate that somebody can do?
I can say for a strike, I can do one. I was in the Bay Area. I think we were there about 2.5 weeks. I came home with about 27,000.
Okay. That's pretty good money. Whoever looking at it,
but remember, the taxes, you need to have a good CPA.
Yes.
Have your finances in order.
You got to go.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to use
I've learned
yours.
my lesson. I can talk about that later. I've learned my lesson.
Okay.
I've learned my lesson.
All right. So 2 weeks. But so if I'm travel nursing, you only have a 2-week assignment. So once that ends, what do you do? Do you have something already lined up?
Yeah. So I will say with stuff like strikes and disaster relief, you can't depend on that.
Okay.
You have to have, most nurses that do that, they have per diems or something in between because you can't live off of that. Strikes are very finicky. They can call you and be like, hey, we need you on a flight tomorrow. And you land and get there and they're like, oh, it's done. And you go back home.
Wow.
And people have to remember going to those assignments, they pay you so much because you're literally walking into a lot of tension.
Right.
Those nurses, when you go, the union nurses are not happy that you're there.
Right.
They will literally throw things at the buses. I've seen them lay down in front of the buses. They'll come to the hotels if they figure out where we're staying, pull the fire alarms.
What?
But one thing I did want to say to that fact, to the union nurses out there, I'm a travel nurse for a reason, because I see how hospitals treat the nurses and how they're more of a business and they don't, care about really what we need.
Right.
So I do this because I'm like, I'm going to pertain to, care for my own needs. And it's getting more money and being able to go around. So they think we're coming in and we are not helping the cause. I'm like, no, we want you all to win whatever you're trying to negotiate in your contract. We're at the end of the day, unity, but they don't feel that way. They call us scabs.
That's what they call you, scabs.
And my retort to that is, every wound needs a scab to heal, right?
Here you go. I like them to use that one. Every wound needs a scab.
I try to tell some of the staff that are still there working, like, no, we want you all to win your contract and negotiate the terms that you want.
Right.
We're here so you are able to negotiate and protest whatever you need to do until you get what you need. Because in reality, the patients need someone to care for them.
Yep.
I come from a state that doesn't have unions. So I wouldn't have the opportunity to do that. So I wanted to put that out there because a lot of them think like, no, you're not helping the cause. I'm like, yes, we're helping. We want you to win the terms that you want. We're here to care for your patients with the utmost care and compassion until you come back.
Right. I like that you put that out there. Is there any other stereotypes that people may have about travel nurses?
Stereotypes are that we're all about money.
Okay.
And that's not true. I feel like I went to school for a 4-year baccalaureate degree. Well, you can really say 6. I had to take a 2-year AA degree to be, in order to qualify for the BSN program.
Okay.
So I'm paying off student loans, and I had to take general chemistry, AP1, AP2, pathophysiology, all those things. People just think that we just implement tasks that the doctors give us. No, we have to understand physiology, anatomy, medicine. We have to be able to see if something isn't right and catch mistakes. We have a lot on our belts too. I deserve to be paid. We deserve to be paid adequately for that. We deserve nice things. We deserve to be able to live comfortably. We went to school. We saved lives. We help save lives.
At the end of the day.
So why not be paid for it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't like that connotation that, oh, you just care about money. Like, I care about helping you. But I want to be paid too. I'm going to get paid
adequately.
Isn't that why everyone goes to work?
Yeah.
To be paid, right?
Right.
So I don't understand that. Another misconception is that a lot of travel nurses don't have a lot of experience.
Explain on that.
And I'm like, that's not true. Now, you will have some people that will skip through and slide through the cracks that haven't been nurses long. But a lot of, like I said, travel nurses, you have to have experience. You have to know what you're doing.
Right.
So a lot of us are strong nurses. We have to be able to go on a floor and jump in. And
without too much hand holding, right?
Right. We get maybe 1 or 2 days of orientation, and it's like,
orientation,
bye.
Right. And now you're on your own.
Now you're on your own.
That's what you get paid for.
That's what you get paid for. And I would ask a question. If it's something that I don't know, I'm not one of those nurses that assume I know everything. That's a scary
I don't want a nurse like that, honestly. I will ask in a heartbeat. I don't care about, well, he don't know this. He went to school. I don't know everything. I never will know everything.
Medicine is always changing.
Forever, right? Always changing.
Every day. So that's another misconception, that they're not as qualified. Like, no, a lot of us, especially the OG nurses, I call them OG nurses, the nurses that have been traveling and striking for
they got so much knowledge.
They have so much knowledge.
God.
They teach me so much. These nurses can stand hard in the paint, okay?
Yeah.
So I want people to understand that you have to know what you're doing this type of work.
Okay.
They'll sniff you out. You think a staff nurse that knows you're getting paid double, triple what they're getting paid, if you come on the floor and you don't know what you're doing,
right?
You're messing up things. You think they're not gonna call you out and get you out of there?
They're gonna try to.
They're gonna try to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow.
Misconception.
So with all this traveling, how do you adjust to the new cities?
Okay.
Right. And what do you do in your off time when you're in a new city?
Oh my goodness. So I know you all see on Instagram all the travel nurses, how we're always going to dinners. We're linking up. So actually, when I go to a new city, I go and find like a social club or something.
Okay.
Or like, I'll tell people nursing, especially travel nursing, is big but small. So we will link up with people that we know are in the same city that we're in, and we'll just start hanging out. We'll go places, do things. So yeah, that's just find a social club. I enjoy things like Pilates and all that stuff. So, I go to class and I'll meet people.
Right.
Some of my greatest friends that I've met have been on assignment.
Really? Mm-hmm. So out of all the cities you've been to, do you know how many cities you've been to so far? You haven't counted?
I've lost count. I've been all over the country.
So what's the city that was the least of things to do, like in the remote?
The Indian reservation.
Oh, that's right.
That was hard.
So what was hard about it? I mean, just the isolation? Because you can't even drink on it.
It was a culture shock.
Can you drink on the Indian reservation?
I don't really. Oh, you can't, but I don't drink, so that didn't bother me.
Even better. Okay.
You can't drink. Yeah, it's very rare that I'll drink.
I don't know.
Very rare. Like I have a cute little martini every blue moon, but no. So that was a culture shock. So when you think of an Indian reservation, in my mind, I think of casino, lots of money.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that. So I was actually in Chinle, Arizona.
Okay.
During COVID. There was one grocery store, one Denny's, and I think one Burger King. That was it. And everything was kind of closed because it was COVID. So we worked 6 days a week. We made a makeshift hospital because they're Indian health. I think it's Indian Health Services hospitals. It was it wasn't really a tent. We took their recreational center and we created, made it into a hospital. Yeah. They were we got all the overflow patients. So some of those patients were sick. Right. A lot of these people very impoverished.
Right.
A lot of comorbidities, hypertension, diabetes, and things because they're not getting seen by a primary care physician as they should. Right. So that was an eye opener for me. It was really sad. So COVID really hit the community hard.
In Arizona, right?
Yep, that was Chinle, Arizona.
So
Navajo Nation.
Mm-hmm. So obviously you've been to California. What was your favorite state?
Oh, I'll say California.
California?
Because nursing in California, because of their unions, is solid. Nurses get treated well there.
I'm going to get out there.
Yes, you get hour lunch breaks and they make you take a lunch. Yes, they make you take a lunch. In Florida, I barely would get a lunch break.
Really?
Yes. It would be like, let me go eat this Nutri-Grain bar and some Ensure and try to get through my shift. Man. But they actually have break nurses in California.
Wow, because I work in perioperative in the surgical part, and anesthesia they get breaks. They get 8 breaks anesthesia. Like nurses, we don't get breaks like that. I think they're trying to incorporate that because running around doing this, and I want some water too.
Yes.
Wow. So those are the cities. Now, my next question is, with all this moving around, has this affected your personal life? How does a nurse navigate the personal life, and if you're willing to indulge?
Sure. Okay. So before I was a travel nurse, I was in a long relationship. Mm-hmm. So when we broke up, I'm like, okay, let me get out here in these streets and travel, do my own thing. So yeah, it can be difficult because you're moving around.
Okay.
I've dated, in different places that I've been.
Okay.
I had one that I was seriously dating for maybe a couple of years.
Okay.
And we would just fly back and forth.
Okay.
Or I would take contracts in his city.
Fair.
And fly back and forth. It was nice because it's okay, I'll see you now and I'm gone, I'll see you again.
Right.
In a couple of weeks, a month, we won't get tired of each other.
Is that okay.
But yeah, it could affect a serious relationship because I can see, especially men, they don't want their woman, just being all around the country alone. And
unless, you find another nurse that can fly with you.
Or if, that's, I've seen that dynamic before where they've had other nurses, if they date each other, or doctors, and they're, they use locum as their agency.
Okay.
So you can make that work as well.
Interesting. Okay. So it can work, but it's difficult.
It's difficult,
isn't that? Okay. So talking about just, the state of nursing, where do you see nursing going in the next 5 years? Because there are talks of, robotics, and then just, the new president's in town. And what are your thoughts on that?
Okay. So as far as robotics, I mean, you have this machine, but of course the doctor is still running that machine. I know me, I don't want just a robot touching me without any human,
I agree.
And
interaction.
I hear that they're starting to try to use AI telenursing.
Yeah.
Can you think of yourself as a patient? You hit your call bill and you get some video of a nurse. How would you feel with that?
A video of a nurse?
Yes. Would you be?
I want my nurse there.
Exactly. So in hindsight, it sounds good, but you're always going to need the physical human nurse there on the floor.
I agree, 100%. And just me, like obviously I work in surgery OR. We already do robotic surgeries, but there's always a nurse in the room. You have to be. Anesthesia, because they're robots. They can fail. They can glitch. Robots glitch. So I was like, well, you better watch out next couple of years. Not in my lifetime.
I'm not worried about that.
I'm not really worried about that at all.
I do not want an AI. Do you want an AI robot starting your IV? I don't.
No, not at all.
What if it decides to glitch soon as you...
Nah,
no, thank you.
Not at all.
No,
not
thanks.
at all.
But I do feel like with anything, any profession, we'll have to pivot. We'll have to start learning more things. And you should do that anyway. So if AI is about to be brought more into our profession, how about you learn it? Yeah. Get more into informatics or see how you can add this into your skill set so you can be more marketable.
Right.
Anything in life, you have to be able to pivot and divert.
Exactly. If you want to learn,
if you want to learn. Remember it before the internet, how people felt about the internet before.
Right.
And it's like either you're going to learn it or you're going to get left.
Exactly.
I think that's where we are with AI. Either you're going to learn it or you're going to get left, because that's where we are in the world.
It's happened already. They put so many crazy videos out. Like, it's wild. So, still touching on travel nursing. So if somebody, say is a year and a half, 2 years, they want to start travel nursing.
Okay.
What is your advice to them to get started?
Okay, to get started. So there's so many websites and agencies now that you can go into. Right. There's a lot. So if you want to start travel nursing, AMN is a major one. You have AYA, cross country. So once you start working with one of them, you're going to start meeting other travel nurses along the way. And we're going to give you more information and knowledge. Like I love telling people if they want to ask me anything, like, hey,
but that's why
what do you want to know? What do you want to know? Like, so once you start getting into these agencies more, because they have sub agencies up under them. So say, I think if you work for AMN, they have like Nurses RX, Nurses Choice, all those agencies up under them. They're going to get your information too.
Right.
They're going to start emailing you. And all of a sudden, once you're put in like a database, it's going to start coming to you anyway.
So if I become a travel nurse, it's not going to be hard to find a job.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It might not be the job that you want all the time.
Right. But it'll be something.
It'll be something out there.
Okay. So is there a specific community that you're part of that you're always up to date with the latest jobs? Is it like a Telegram or is it just a website?
A lot of us, once you start getting into it, we have like chats or like once you start meeting people, be like, hey, can you put me onto like a group that you're in, and we'll put all of our stuff in it. Right. Like it's a lot. It's so many of those now.
Right.
What else? Wanderly, that's a website you can go on. They'll literally list all the, agency contracts they have. You can even go on Indeed. If you type in RN contract, like they will literally come up. It's not hard to find anymore.
So I heard a lot of those recruiters, they can be a little aggressive.
Yes.
So how do you handle that?
If I'm actively seeking a new contract, I reach out to them. But my phone, I tell people, like, if you want to really reach me, try to call me, because my phone is full of messages. They'll just keep texting you, like different agencies with different jobs. I'm like, I get so many spam and text messages like that.
There's opportunities just
they
out
are
there.
Very aggressive, especially when you start working with like the foreign agencies, which I tell people, I'm kind of leery about that.
Okay.
But they are very aggressive. They will keep calling you. Like, what's one that I can think of? Like Lansolve, I've heard of them.
Okay.
I wouldn't work with them, but I've heard people, once they get your phone number, they will just keep calling you and calling and emailing. And so it's opportunities out there. Yes.
So when you go into these cities, you got a contract with the agency. How do you handle housing? Like, how does the agency handle that? The stipend, things like that.
Okay, so once you get a contract, you're going to get a non-tax stipend that you can get for housing.
Okay.
So you can either choose to get housing through the agency, or you can choose your own housing.
Okay.
So if you get it through the agency, you won't get the non-tax stipend.
Okay.
So of course, I always choose my own housing because I want to be in control of where I stay at.
Agreed.
So I try to always get like a nice, decent home that is cheaper than my stipend, so you can pocket the rest of it. I mean, because to be honest, that's the reason why you're traveling across the country, because you want the extra money, or it's no reward in it. What's the benefit of doing it? You can just stay home. Mm-hmm. So I always choose my own housing. I have some colleagues that like to use what the agency gives them.
Okay.
I personally don't do that. Now, if you're under a government contract, they usually provide housing. We'll usually be in a hotel.
Okay.
And they'll take care of it and bus us to and from work.
Too, right?
Mm-hmm. The government contracts, yeah. You get paid well in those. But like I said, the situation that you're in isn't always the greatest. So the incentive is the money.
Gotcha.
You have to pay people to stay in some of those circumstances.
Right.
Like if you go on a hurricane disaster relief assignment, you can literally be put in an arena, like a football field or something.
Yeah.
And you're sleeping in cots. It's a hurricane. So just think about the dynamic here.
Okay.
We have us here. We have some little cots that we're sleeping in.
Yeah.
It's flooding. It's damaged. You're here with homeless people, all kinds of people that are here seeking shelter.
Right.
They're sending all the people from the nursing home or whatever places that were damaged. We're all in this one area.
Right.
It's total chaos trying to keep it organized. Mm-hmm. It's all kinds of things going on. And you have to be able to handle that. It is insane. Wow. So I tell people when you sign up for these contracts, don't just look at the money. You have to really want to do this.
Right.
Because the money sometimes isn't good enough to make you want to stay.
Because everybody's not going to California, this nice hospital, nice digs. It's not like that, right?
There's a reason why if they have a disaster relief assignment or if they're having a critical shortage contract, that's because there's a critical need and they need you there for a reason.
Okay.
Like even the fires right now, I got some emails about they might need some medical staff to go over to LA.
Right.
You think that's going to be
that's not going to be cushy kind of job. No, it's not going to be cushy.
So, of course, they're going to have to pay you, Will, as an incentive, or we're not going to go. You think we're going to go in that kind of, environment for a little bit of money?
When I can make here.
Right. So, it's a reason you're getting paid that much. So, I tell people to remember that. Don't come. Okay. We'll have people that are new to it that are complaining, or it's just like, no, you have to be able to stand in the paint. This isn't soft life nursing.
This is really not. Yeah. So, when you're in that situation, another thing I want to talk about is how do you control or able to control what you eat, like your diet, like to stay on some kind of regimen, right?
Drink some more water.
Yeah, I mean, because I've heard a lot of people, like you said, that one town was just only Burger King and Denny's, right? Mm-hmm. And a grocery store. How did you handle that?
I ate horribly. I'm gonna be honest.
You ate horribly.
So I got a little mini grill. And I would cook some days for me. But that agency took care of us. They actually, so a lot of times when we have a makeshift hospital, they bring in everybody. They bring in housekeeping. They bring in RTs, paramedics. They have people that cook for us. So they had a chef service there. Okay. So we ate good. Chef service. But you had to eat what they fed you.
Yeah, no options.
We ate good though. I'm not gonna lie on that assignment. Oh, we ate so good.
Okay.
But other ones where they don't have that, you have to just eat Uber Eats. I have a little mini grill I'll buy. Sometimes I'll make little sandwiches in my room.
Yeah, that's what I'm
so
trying to
it's hard to be healthy on those type of assignments.
Do they give you like a meal stipend?
Mm-hmm. You get a meal stipend.
Okay.
So the meal stipend depends on what state you're in. So it's a set rate for whatever state you're in.
Okay. Interesting.
So it could be anywhere from $40 up to like $60 a day.
I can eat off that. Never mind.
That's one meal for me.
Right.
That's one meal I can go. Man. I like good food. You know me. I like.
See, you talk like a real nurse right here.
I like brunch. It was so funny because one assignment, we would go to Ruth Chris all the time after work. They loved us.
Wow.
They knew.
Here come them nurses.
They would say, oh, hey, y'all, come on over. We went to Ruth Chris all the time after work.
Probably tip good and everything.
Yeah, they knew we tip well. And people have to understand it's not us trying to be just extra bougie. It's stressful, okay? Right. The stuff that we will have to deal with, we just needed some form of release or some happiness after work. And we liked going there. That was it.
So when you travel nursing, going to that, so what are some of your stress relievers?
Ooh, the food.
The food. I get that one. I get that one.
Spa days.
Okay.
And you got to remember a lot of these type of assignments that are like that, disaster relief or government contracts or strikes, you're working every single day. So you probably only have one day off.
So some of these contracts you work every day.
Oh, yeah.
So how long are these? I don't think we got to that. How long are these contracts?
Okay. So however long they need you. So the Indian reservation, I was there for a year.
Wow.
Heck, people don't know right here in Atlanta, the Georgia World Congress Center, we was out there for almost 2 years.
What was you there for?
That was during COVID.
They had a situation at the center.
We made it into a makeshift hospital. And that was insane.
Wow.
It was insane.
That's like a room too.
It was insane. So it was crazy to me because you remember around that time, Atlanta was like one of the only cities that didn't shut down.
Atlanta don't shut down for nothing.
So here we are at the GWCC, that's like in the heart, kind of right where the
stadium is.
Ferris wheel and stuff is, right? So
right there, yeah.
We'll be walking out of work. Everybody outside partying, this, that, and other. And we're just stressed out. We've worked like 13 hours, seeing people die all day.
Yeah.
And people outside like partying and stuff. And I don't think people realized that's what was going on in there, because a lot of people thought COVID was fake. I'm like, are you crazy?
Especially in Atlanta. It's the only city that didn't close. Like, you seen people die almost every day.
Oh my God. It was insane. There was a reason why we had to make a makeshift hospital. The hospitals were bursting out the seams. They couldn't handle all the patients.
So that was open for 2 years.
That was open off and on. So yeah, it opened up for about a year, then it closed, and they had to open it back up for like another year or so.
Okay. Yeah, COVID. I mean, a lot of nurses like, I hope I see another COVID.
No,
I mean,
you don't
really want to see another
COVID.
You know,
that was a very
if you're just in it for the money, you might want to say that. But you know, that was a crazy time. I know you've seen people pass away and die, right?
In ICU, yo.
So how does that affect your mental health? Do you need to go somewhere for that day? Because you still have to be on the unit, right?
Yeah.
So how do you de-stress from that and then get back to what you got to do?
Okay, so a lot of hospitals, they'll have like a meditation room or a decompress room.
Yeah.
But honestly, I know it sounds bad. You don't have time to really grieve that, because you already have another person coming.
Right.
You kind of just have to get them ready so the family can see, and they're out and they bring you someone else. So you don't really have time. So I tell people that's why you can't really internalize that, and you can't take that home with you, because it can really be a lot. Right. And some people can't handle it. That kind of unit isn't for everyone.
Right.
You know, but I had to get used to it. But I will say during COVID, that was a time, like I said, I've seen my share of people pass, but I had never seen anything like that in my life.
Wow.
When I was in New York, I literally stood in the middle of the unit and I just looked around and everybody was dying. Everybody. And like, I don't, want to get into like vent settings and stuff, but like we had to have the PEEP up to like 20 PEEP is what controls how your lungs, open and close. And it was just, that's a high number. Usually we'll have like 5 a PEEP. We would think 8 or 10 is high. Right. But to have 20? That so high, that means the lungs are so hard, because, COVID made your lungs fibrotic. Like it caused fibrosis. It couldn't really contract. And move. So I'll see people on these high vent settings and their O2 sat was still in the 60s and 70s. Wow. And you knew when you saw that.
And normal O2 sat is what, 94, 95?
95 and above. That's where it should be. We'll even take 90. But for you to have 100% FiO2, 20 of PEEP, your tidal volume's high, and you're still satting in the 60s and 70s, you knew that person wasn't getting off the vent.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you knew they were going to die.
Oh, they were going to die. In the heart of COVID, if we put you on the ventilator, it was a very high percentage that you were not going to make it.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you still going to be travel nursing? Is that what you're going to do? Or are you going to go?
I said I'm going to continue travel nursing until I have a reason not to. So now I'm getting into I want to be more entrepreneurship, learning passive income streams. Like I said, had to learn about finance. That's why I was saying a lot of nurses that do these things, please have CPA, have a financial consultant or advisor, because you're making all this money. And if you've never made it before, you don't understand that if you're on a 1099, if you don't have an LLC or something, you're going to owe all that money back.
Right.
And if you don't know how to circumnavigate those taxes or write-offs, you're paying all of that. So I've had to learn about finances too.
No, I think a lot of nurses have. I think actually in nursing schools, they actually incorporated finance classes now. I just heard that.
Oh my gosh. I know, right? Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah, so better late than never. So yeah, a lot of nurses make all this money. I've seen it. I mean, the lavish lifestyle, or what some people may consider that.
Oh my gosh. Here they go.
Hold up. What'd you pull up in here today?
Oh my gosh. I heard that all the nurses pulling up in the AMG, the Porsches.
They pop up with these scrubs on. I'm just a nurse. Like, whatever.
Oh my gosh. I tell people, like, look, if you work hard and you're responsible, you deserve to have nice things. I'm not going to look small for nobody.
I agree. That's why I said if you can't beat them, join them. That's why I'm a nurse.
I'm going to pop mine. I work hard. The stress that we deal with, like, I make a lot of people understand, like, we make this look cute. And we make it look all nice on our social medias, but nothing about nursing is cutesy. We're seeing people die. That, yeah. People are at the worst parts of their lives. Family members are stressed out. They're seeing family members coming and going. So a lot of the anger, or a lot of the, anger that we get, animosity towards us, it's because they're stressed and we're the person they see all day. They don't have anyone else to take it out on.
Let it out. Mm-hmm. I try to tell people, even in surgery, I see some of these people at that worst time in their life.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through, whether it's a gunshot or
you work in trauma.
I work in trauma, whether it's craniotomies or spinal. Mm-hmm. Like, we see them, and we have to be that that person to kind of calm them down, let them know things are going to be all right. Meanwhile, we don't know 100% if that's going to be the truth. But we take that on as nurses and try to be there for them in their time of need. So, like you said, you see nurses on social media. It's not all what you see.
Yeah, it's not all glam. So if someone sees us and we want to drive in our Porsches, our AMG, we want to eat good, we want to go travel. That's because we need to do something to decompress.
Right.
If you see, man, have you seen the surgeon in the physician's parking lot? I see McLarens, Ferraris, all that out there. No one's questioning them.
That's true. Nobody questions them. But why are they questioning us?
Right. And, that's a bigger issue. Because nurses are supposed to be martyrs. We're supposed to be, no.
Nah, we're still human. We're still human. Yeah.
If I'm giving you the ultimate level of compassion and the best nurse I can be to you, on my day off, I'm going to live.
Right.
It's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
We don't need to be martyrs. We don't need to come in on our days off. I heard that too. Like, if you're not working every day, you know how your boss call you, we're short staffed. No, I'm not coming in. I'm off today.
No, I'm going
to go take a lunch.
I'm going to go take a lunch. Yeah. Now, it's been times like even recently, I don't know, I actually slept overnight during the snowstorm because they needed somebody,
They needed someone there.
Because they were like, well, we may have call outs. Sure enough, the next morning, so I slept over. Next morning, mind you, I'm on a clock the whole time. Obviously, I'm not staying for nothing. But we had 42 call outs. Wow. So that's why they needed people to stay.
Right.
And I live close. So I said, I'll stay cool. So it's not, you know the beds ain't you sleep in bed. The food that
they ran out of food, right?
Yeah. And luckily I got the email before.
You brought some food.
Yeah. But so to your point, it's not all cupcakes. So
it's not all glitz and glam.
It's not. So when we on social media, we just want to show that there is a different side of it.
There's a different side. So I tell people, don't get caught up in seeing like the nurse content. And yeah, it's nice. We're showing you the other side, but you have to understand it's hard too. There's plenty of days that I've cried in the medicine room at work because I was so stressed out because we're short staffed. The patient don't understand or their family don't understand. I have a lot of other things going on in the other room. I'm gonna get to you when I can.
Right.
Or like you said, I see somebody that were young. I remember I had one patient, he got robbed in a parking lot or something. He was really young and he died and the mother donated his organs. And that one kind of got to me. I was like, dang, I had to go in the room and I cried. I was like, this is a lot.
That's a lot to see that.
You're seeing people their family members coming into the ICU, they're dying. I've seen people, one of my instructors, I've seen that.
Wow.
She taught me. I would never forget that.
Right.
My first year of nursing school.
Wow.
And I seen her at work and she passed. That was so hard.
Wow. You went through her. Yeah.
She taught me. I remember she was so funny. She taught me my first Foley. She was like, girl, you better get in there. And I was like, no,
it sounded like me, right? I was like, can you just come watch me do it?
And can you imagine my face when I saw her roll into that unit?
I can't. So this was like, you didn't even know she's rolling in.
I just saw her. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Then I started seeing all my instructors from school coming in. You know, that was hard. So people have to understand this is not an easy job, especially when you're working in environments where people are dying.
Right.
Yeah. Man.
So again, want to go back to somebody who wants to travel nurse. And you said you're going to travel until you have a reason to stop.
A reason not to.
So what's a couple reasons that you want to stop? I just want to know.
So a reason not to is, of course, I'm a woman. I want to have a family. I want to be married one day. If I get into a solid relationship and my man is like, baby, I want you home, I'll be like, okay, we're going to figure something out here.
Okay.
I'll do that. Okay. If my passive income streams get to a point to where I don't have to really roll around as much anymore, then I'll stop.
Okay.
Or if I just get tired, if I get a salary that's good enough for me and I want to just be in that place, if I like the city enough, then I'll stop. But until I get to that point, I'm gonna go.
I'm with you. I'm gonna say that.
I'm on the go.
You know, even if you stay here, say you found somebody that they want you to stay here, I'm pretty sure they have this thing called internal travel.
Right.
So that's another. I think Emory has that. Piedmont.
So a lot of nurses do that now, and I think that's smart because a lot of the hospitals are trying to cut out the middleman.
They are,
but for the travelers, for us, it doesn't affect me because we still get, if you do internal travel, you're still getting a nice rate.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So do you know anything else about internal travel? Like, is it any different from regular travel?
Yes. So most hospitals with internal travel, you of course don't get a stipend with most of them. You have to just see depending on how far you're traveling.
Oh, got you.
You are actual staff for that hospital. So a lot of them will have some rules to where you have to take at least 1 or 2 contracts with them a year.
Okay.
So you can bounce around, but you have to make sure you come back. Or some will have like a surge clause, meaning those times of year where a lot of people are sick or getting surgeries, at the end of the year. Everybody's trying to get those surgeries in before December.
I know.
You have to take a contract with them. So those are some of the things that a lot of hospitals are doing. That can still be lucrative if you want to not have to just pick up and go everywhere.
Okay. So like read your contract. Make sure you know what's going on.
Don't forget about the per diem nursing too.
You told me about that. Mm-hmm. What is per diem nursing?
So per diem is when you basically work at a hospital. Mm-hmm. You come in as needed. So if they're short, like the day you said everybody called off, they'll be calling their per diem nurses. Or they'll probably call them in a day before, like, hey, we foresee this happening. We need you to come in. Some hospitals have a clause where you have to come in 1 or 2 days a week, once a month. Or if you work, a lot of nurses on the East Coast, they'll fly over to California.
Right.
And you can work block schedules. So you can come in 5-10 days a week. And then you can fly back home and keep going back and forth.
They get paid very well, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, of course. I tell people there's a reason. If I'm going to pick up and get on a flight and have to find housing and be somewhere foreign that I don't know by myself, it has to be an incentive. The incentive is the money.
I love it.
It's okay. It's okay, people. There's nothing wrong with money.
There's nothing wrong with this. So, Mikailia, I really appreciate you coming, spreading some knowledge about travel nursing.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Please let the people know where they can find you, social media and all that.
Okay. Well, my social media handle is my name. It's _ Mikailia _ So that's _ MIKAILIA _
Thank you. I see you at work. I see you at work. All right. Till next time. See you guys.